Good evening, all. Ira Epstein with your Spider ETF market wrap-up. And this wrap-up is for Tuesday. And here we are now, sitting on the 21st of June, 2022. So, an update. Yeah, it's a turnaround Tuesday. You know, the markets weren't open, though, yesterday, so I don't know how you call it a turnaround from what. Normally, it's from a Monday, so I saw some people label it that. I'm not buying that. It's an up Tuesday because you weren't open on a Monday. And a lot of the markets were up. I've added Chewy to the stable of things I want to watch. You know, I rotate things every now and then for you. You can see that gold down, most other markets to the upside. So let's take a look at some of the charts and get a feel, if we could, as to where we're at. Here's Chewy on a daily bar chart. And obviously, this market came down from the 50-plus level all the way down, 50% break recently, into the 22.5 zone and picked itself nicely back up. The question is it getting a little bit extended here? I love pets, I have them on my own, and I use Chewy, so that's one of the reasons I wanted to bring this up. Higher lows, higher highs, trend up until and unless the market takes out 2780. When I bring on moving averages, I've got the 50-day right here, the 100 in green, the 200. So we have layers of resistance with the support all the way back at 2774. But right now, in order to get to that number, you'd have to break the last swing line low and take yourself out of an uptrend. I don't think that's going to be the case in the near term. I think the market's going to fight a battle trying to hold on to 3041. Where's the resistance? You're at it. The upper Bollinger Band is sitting here now, right where we're at 3186. We settled 3185. Each time we've recently gotten up here, the market has backed off. I don't think this is going to be too much different. And when I look at momentum, we're overbought. So I have a market that I think has nicely rebounded from this recent drop that it got up here, as I said, over 50, made its way into the 22.5 zone, but I'm not looking right now for a lot more. If the general market were a lot more bullish, I would, but that's not what I'm seeing. I'm seeing a bounce in a market today that's nice. Nothing goes down forever. A bounce is more than welcome, but I don't see this having been the low of the stock market as a whole. When we look at AMC, it's stuck. It's caught right here. I was looking for a lot better action than this. Obviously, the Pixar movie that came out this weekend was a dud. No other way to call it, a dud. I know some people say, well, it didn't do bad. It did bad, all right? These movies brought out right now are supposed to be the gangbusters. The market seems to be caught between the upper Bollinger Band that it can't quite reach now at 1427, the lower band at 1108, and it's really just almost every day going either side by a little bit of that 18-day average and not going anywhere. The general trend is down, lower highs, lower lows. The market settled at 1250, which is under the 18-day average of closes. The bias is down, but momentum is trying to pick itself up right here. The bears have the upper hand temporarily. In Apple, should Apple be able to get back over 137.34, you probably open the door for the market to make a run to the 18-day average. Should it not be able to do that and start failing, because you're so oversold, I'm not going to say you're going back to 127.50. If this were to develop what we call that embedded reading, where you get both the red and the blue going sideways under the 20 level for several days or more, then I'd get bearish again. But right here, I don't know. I think that it's time to walk away from this for a little bit. Disney, still in big trouble. Would you think Disney'd have trouble at this time of the year? And yet, take a look at it. This stock, new lows. I mean, for all purposes, that's where you're at. You're at 93.27. You come back here. You've been in this zone before, but you're not lifting at all in this market. Not lifting is not a good thing, as we can see. Let me see if I can get this to do what I wanted it to. I'm not sure I can. Okay, now can I get it to step back on it? That's what I wanted it to do. So if we take a look at the most recent lows, and that's what I want us to do, it was 93.10. So now as we go forward with the market, and this is just what I wanted to show you, Today, you get down to 93.27. You haven't taken that out, but if you do, it's going to be one ugly chart. So they haven't been able to get out of their own way. When we take a look at XLF, the financial services, the market, in my opinion, started making its stands right here. Now, let me give you the thing I'm very, very concerned about. Do you notice how the market's starting to develop the embedded reading? You need 3 days in a row where the numbers stay under 20 on settlement, both the red and the blue, called the K and the D lines. And when they do that, what it typically does, and let's see how many we have here. I don't think we have 3 just yet. Nope. 1, day 1, Friday. Today's day 2. Tomorrow's going to be a key day. An up day tomorrow in the stock market, and if it carries a lot of these, could stop the embedding process. If the embedding process kicks in on the close, that means come Thursday, I know I will be getting aggressive to the bear side. I'll get out of the market's way if the red line closes over 21 after I tell you to get short. But until that point in time, no. Is the short signal here? Not yet. We got to wait and see if they develop. Let's go to the next chart if I could right here. Here it is. XLI. Oversold, not embedding. Down into the Bollinger Band. It's sort of just hugging it at this point. Does it embed? Well, it's not even begun the real process. You need 2 more days of it to know. So I'll call it oversold into a support zone. Certainly no signals to get long. In the semiconductors, I'm looking at what's going on here. I was reading a story today as to how powerful China is becoming on semiconductors. You know, once the U.S. under President Trump started banning all kinds of technology and trade secrets, patents, and all that China could use to make semiconductors, they went their own way. And I was reading a report today that the U.S. would have to probably invest $6 trillion to catch up to where they're at, subsidies, grants, and the like, to get ourselves up to about where they're at. Can we do that? Yeah. Is there a stomach for it? No. So that becomes the new issue, a big issue. We'll be buying chips for a long time. There's just not the stomach to do that. So I'll be watching to see if you embed. And that's a theme we're getting. One of the themes is we've come down and we've sort of died. We've gone sideways. You can either embed or get more of a correction to the upside out of that. If you embed, it tells me there's another leg to the downside. Tomorrow, by the way, we get word from Fed Chair Powell. He speaks for 2 days in front of Congress starting tomorrow. I think it's the Senate first, then the House the day after. So at about 9 o'clock, he'll be speaking. They'll be asking a lot of questions. Where are we? It's a political year. It's going to get nasty. They're not going to be his friend. Here, too, you have an oversold market in housing. Market's just not looking good. If it can embed, I got to get even more bearish on it. Energy sector, oversold into the first challenge of the 100-day average in green in the Bollinger Band. I think the pros came out, you heard me, out of being in the short side of this market right now. Now, the more I'm reading about what the U.S. is not doing, the more concerned I get. We're just not seeing our oil companies throw money and develop more wells, more infrastructure of really any type. We're investing about what we did in 2019. We're not picking it up from there. So we've got a status quo like this. Is it enough? Well, if you have a worldwide recession, it probably is. People don't say that, but I think it is. If you get a bump in the world economies, it isn't. Where's China and India getting their oil? You know, they're picking it up right now. It's very clear they're getting it from Russia. They've backed off on OPEC. In fact, Russia is now the largest provider to China of oil. And remember, Iranian oil, a lot of that goes into China as well. So you've got all this going on. Should get interesting. We're nowhere near done with the Russian situation with Ukraine. That's going to just drag on for a very long time. In gold, how do you get more neutral than this? Bearish, neutral to bearish. You have to take out, for me to get friendly, 172.77. If the market were to hit that, one of the things I told my paid subscribers this morning was if it hit that, I think you'd take a nibble with a straight stop under whatever today's low was, one tick under that. It didn't happen. I also said you could probably go short right there, looking for the market to come down with the stop at that level. Either one of those trades seem to me to make sense right now. GDX, no. GDX is just a market that is in oversold territory and bearish. The oversold keeps me away from it. Copper, oversold, not lifting itself yet at all. 5 cases were reported today in Beijing. Now, out of what, 22 million people or whatever, 5 COVID cases, and I'm supposed to believe that. Some of you write me and you think that I say this and I believe what I'm saying. I don't believe it. I think China lies about everything. I think if you think you know what their GDP is and their growth, no. The way that you measure it, though, is electric usage. And that's been around for a while, and it gives us a better reading. Are they telling the truth on some things or not? I don't think they tell you the truth. AGG, oversold condition. You lost the embedded reading, and when you did it, you normally run to the 18-day average. That gets thrown out the window if you make a low under the most recent low, whatever it is, just before you lost the reading. So that's still an open target, but here's what I think is going to happen. I think this average is just going to slowly come down, and by the time the market gets to it, it's not going to be a move of much of anything. Could I be wrong if all of a sudden we were up sharply tomorrow? Sure, but what's going to make it go up sharply? Then we get to the dollar index, which doesn't have a pattern that I like. You have the higher highs and now lower highs, higher lows is what I meant to say. Momentum sort of drifting to the downside. The dollar's actually gone into a very neutral stage, not doing anything one way or the other. So whenever you see that, the one thing you want to do is be very careful. And if you look at the euro currency, the momentum has gone flat. The trend is down here. Are the pros selling? I doubt it. Why? The flip-flop. Lower highs, but higher lows with today's action. I think you've gone into a pause for a near term here. And whenever you go into a pause, the smartest thing you could do is just step back and say to yourself, okay, let the market pause itself out and we'll see just what it wants to do, one way or the other. Let's see if I can get this to open up for us. I can. And there we are. In the mornings, you always hear me talk. I've told the subscribers to do this and that, and there's a reason for that. At 5:30 in the morning, I start out talking about the futures markets. But remember, that means IWM, DIA, SPY, QQQ, TLT, GLD. I feel like a dancer. SLV. I'm covering the futures. Then at 9 o'clock, I swing gears and I talk about the ETFs. I do 40 charts on each. I rotate them. I'm always looking what's the most active of whatever. Now, futures, it's typically the same 40, but I can rotate in the stock market because there's thousands of stocks and ETFs to choose from galore. There's even now an inverse Bitcoin, so that should get interesting as can be. So I cover all these markets trying to give you the ideas of the morning with very specific buy here, sell there. As an example, today I was telling traders to go short at the market on 2 individual stocks. I jot down what they are, I keep track of them, get it the whole way that I want. How do you get this information? Well, it's real simple. You can go to our website, and in the website, all you need to do is go to the word research. Research, that's the key word. So it's www.iraepstein.com research, but you can also take your cursor while I'm talking to you, just move it up here, you'll see an icon, click on it, it'll take you right there. My voice is gradually coming back. I'm certainly not normal yet. I don't know if I'm ever normal, but getting there. I appreciate everybody that wrote me, putting up with what I had to go through with COVID. As I said, I've still got the impact of it, but each day's better. You have a great day. I'll see you tomorrow.